get started. I have somebody who's having trouble getting in, but I'll work on that while we talk. So we are going to talk about internships today. How many of you use interns on your teams? Cameron, you do? Jess, you do? Raf does? Great, you guys get to all share your experience. So we're going to start with Abby, because Abby's actually, they're doing it on a pretty high level. So Abby can share with you how they're doing things, and those of you that are using them can chime in and maybe say what you're doing differently.
So yeah, we live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. We have a pretty big college just down the road, and actually have a couple of smaller universities and a junior college as well. But we use interns daily. I mean, we have usually at least 2 interns in the office every single day. Most of them come to us through a connection we have at the university that teaches one of the real estate courses there. He sort of recommends our team quite frequently, but then we also just word of mouth and our spheres have gotten some other interns through their grapevine. But what we typically do is we bring them in for a sort of more informal interview with myself and our director of sales and kind of get to know them a little bit, see if they're even someone we want to put through the KPA. And then we send them the KPA to complete. And then they come back. If it looks like they'll be a good fit, they come back and I review their KPA with them at that point. And then from there, we kind of do a 30-day unpaid trial period. So their first 30 days, we don't give them a paycheck at all, except for reimbursing their gas. We give them the standard mileage rate, but other than that, they kind of give us a month for free. And at the end of that 30 days, we sit down and kind of see if it's a good fit for them and for us. And that's when we kind of discuss pay. We have one intern that has been remote this summer. She was from Texas and was going home for the summer. And so she did remote work and she stayed unpaid because it was just very sporadic. It was, a Facebook post here and there, a little bit of marketing materials, but there wasn't really any great consistency because she traveled a lot. We just kind of used her when we could. Usually we do, after 30 days, we pay $10 an hour and we pay their mileage. We classify them as 1099s. They don't become W-2 employees. And most of them don't reach even the threshold of needing a 1099 at the end of the year because, it's not a ton of hours. We have, I think, one intern this year that will be over that. I think it's $6,000 threshold where she'll be issued a 1099 by our accountant. But we use them for putting signs out. They can put lock boxes on. They can't take them off because of our MLS, but we can send them to put a lockbox on. They do signage. They'll do riders. They do mail outs and stamping, that kind of thing. When we have a big event like our pie party, they do the text and the phone calls and kind of keep track of the RSVPs. And then we've had one intern, especially who's here today, that I can grab if we want to ask an intern any questions. She's kind of become our marketing assistant. She designs our postcards. She designs our social media graphics. She's written several letters that we've done sort of as mail outs to different neighborhoods. And we're sort of tracking with her to sort of be our marketing person when she graduates in May. Her degree is going to be in marketing. She's done a great job and she's really happy being on the team. And so we're hoping that 12 months from now, she's with us in a full-time capacity and will stay as a part of our team. So that's kind of what it looks like for us. We have some that have taken the real estate exam. Our 2 interns that have sat for the state exam have both not passed in the last week. So we're crossing our fingers that they have better luck on the second go round. But 2 of them are tracking and wanting to they're going to be showing assistants first and then work their way into being a buyer's agent over on the sales side of our team.
I have a question for your social media person and that does graphics for postcards and stuff. So we tried somebody like that earlier this year, and it just seemed to be it just took her a very long time to get in that creative mindset and deliver a final product. So we were then thinking of possibly transitioning to pay by piece. But I guess I kind of wanted to get an idea of, obviously you said you pay by the hour, but how does the productivity, can you just kind of talk about that a little bit?
I mean, we're lucky in that Jessie's really good. She's really fast. Just today, we had 2 homes that sold in neighborhoods that kind of are right next to each other. I said, hey, we've got these 2 houses, pull some graphics, do it just sold, you know, use some of our language on the back that we use on our generic just sold. She had it done in an hour. And it looked as good as we have previously paid a marketing team that is remote, and they would send us PDFs. She's faster than they are, and the product looks just as good. But we did have sort of a learning curve of where we had her and the marketing team, and I kind of showed her everything they were churning out and had her just sort of develop some templates that were similar to theirs, so that obviously they didn't share their templates because that's why we pay them. And so now we'll be able to let go of our marketing team in September because we've created all the templates that we used to use them to do. And most things she can plug and play, like an open house flyer, just listed, just sold. And then if it's anything that varies off that, she usually can use a copy of that template and just make some tweaks. But we did spend a little time together sort of creating those, you know, those ones that we use constantly, so that those are 10 to 15 minute turnaround. And then if there's something a little different, no more than an hour to 2.
Makes sense.
Hey, Abby, what's your onboarding look like? I'm always worried that if I hire someone, like there's a lot of me time to get someone up and going. How have you kind of automated that or taken it off your plate?
So far we've been kind of lucky, and we sort of have a lead intern. Before I got on the team, there was one that had been here for several months. And so their first couple of weeks, they kind of shadowed the most veteran intern. So I'm sure you would kind of need to spend a lot of time with that one, but then we've kind of had it where as one cycles off, another is more veteran and knows our storage unit, knows where our signs are, and knows, you know, to grab a mallet before they leave the office. And so most of the time we just put them with a different intern to kind of, you know, as that training time. I probably the first 30 days spend maybe an hour a day, maybe, but I'm also, that's in total, you know, that's not 1 hour straight. But mostly we've been lucky in that we've had another intern who's been strong and kind of knows the ropes that we sort of pair them with. And so that we do try to hire someone before the other. We have 2 that are taking their test. We've brought 2 others on but already, so that they kind of know what's going on before our other 2 have their license and don't want to put out signs anymore or whatever the case may be.
And I did something similar. The one thing with interns, from my experience, is they're not there long-term unless like they're graduating and they're actually coming on as an employee. So we would have anywhere from a 6 to 12 month turnover. The agreement was they would hire their replacement and have them trained before they left. So once we got that first intern trained, I mean, we went through, on the time that we were doing this, probably 7 different interns, and they always hired with our input and had them trained before they left.
So Abby was moving pretty fast there, but she covered, first of all, Abby, congratulations on first day back at school for your kids. So cute, your picture. She covered, where do they come from? Like, where does she get her interns? What do they do? What will they do when they graduate their internship? And then we just added into that, how do we onboard them? So any, like those, especially those of you using interns, you know, taking those same points, what are you guys doing? Let's mastermind around that.
I have one quick question, and maybe you gave the answer, but are you guys in the office and your interns in the office, or are you guys remote working? Because that's my biggest challenge at this point with with even considering this.
We are back in the office. We have been since, I've been in the office since May of last year. I was only not in the office for
Okay.
6 weeks or so. I mean, we are in Alabama, we sort of get back to work a little quicker that, we sort of are a little rogue, I guess, but our interns are in the office and check in with us. But even I feel like if our agents were remote, I would still come in and the intern could come in and check with me and then be out, in the field doing their tasks.
Right. Okay. Curious. Thank you.
Raf and Jess, what would you add to what Abby said?
Nothing much. We've had two basically, and they've done stuff like, well, we've discovered that millennials for the most part can't address cards. That's a new one that we learned. Or we gave them a stack of cards, and in a like a spreadsheet with these addresses, it's, our house anniversary cards. And they each did it differently, in a different way from how, say, we would have done it. This is one of them we got through a high school program. So it was like a high school senior. It was like the back half of this year he did, he had to do like 12 hours a week or something. So we did that. He did like little database stuff, little data entry. We had him doing signs and lock boxes. Because we do super box and we do combo box, we were able to get permission from the homeowner, and he'd be able to go and like meet an inspector or a contractor or do that kind of stuff eventually. Signs, lock boxes, contractor visits, inspections. What else did he do? Yeah, and then when he was done with his internship, we kept, we'd hire him per job for like sign and lockbox here and there. He couldn't do the Supras, take them off, but it's the same. It's nothing hasn't been talked about already, but ours was really small. We've had like 2 interns total.
We did have to put together a little sheet about how to address a postcard, where a stamp goes, where a return address goes, where the address goes. I have one just in a clear binder pocket because he's exactly right. They didn't know. And the other, I sent an intern to the post office with a check.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't know how to write a check. So we then have a check template that is in our intern notebook that this is where, I had to pay to, but he didn't know how to write out the amount on the second line. And so those 2 things, we have a copy of how to do those in my little intern notebook, because that is exactly right. They did not know.
Sad.
I mean, how many of us know how to churn butter? It's not shocking that, when's the last time you sent a bill by, with an envelope? Come on.
But the postcards though, there's like a box. It's a shock.
Right, but so one of them, all right, so if we're all in the mood for a laugh, one of them copied exactly from our database. So he wrote Jones, comma, Bill, space, 123 Main, next line, street, Anytown, USA, 12345. It was like, all right, it's fair. Maybe it's not taught in high school anymore. I mean, I remember wherever it was, they had like all right, so we got business communications week, but but that's 40 years ago. What am I,
Explicit directions are definitely key with it. I mean, and you think it's too much, like you think they're going to think I'm being a jerk. No, like we go the first day, we have an intern show them how to hammer in a sign, how to make sure the arrow on the lead in is actually facing the direction of the house and not the highway or somewhere,
we had that exact thing. We eventually developed okay, you put the sign in, take a picture of the house with the sign in front of it, And that just so we can verify the placement, because who knows, so like at one point the sign went in at 7:41 instead of 7:40 where it was supposed to go, whatever street this was. We had them with, like, how the post and the hanger with the sign underneath, traditionally one hangs it facing out. This one for some reason could never master that the post face out toward the street. They were all turned. That was an exciting day. Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's like, okay, guess what? The first thing anyone knows about our team and our listing is that the sign is in there wrong. Okay. You just have to, because you feel like you're being a jerk about it, but this is the only.
Interns here.
They are super helpful, and they're cheap labor for the task that you can make a notebook one time that shows them exactly how to do it, and then you don't have to do it again. But explicit directions are definitely important.
I love that you said that though, because it's like you solved it. You put the postcard in front and back, like now it's done. They just consult the notebook, and it was funny the one time, and after that everybody figured it out. So that's great though. And how wonderful that you do it the one time and it's for every single intern after that with that high turnover rate. So amazing. You guys are so clever.
And I guess this is why internships exist, is because we're teaching them life skills. Jess, would you add anything?
Yeah. I do, but I put in the notes that give me like a couple minutes. She's trying to wrap up, but it'll be a minute.
While we wait for Jess, Cameron, where do you find yours? What do they do? How do you onboard them? What's your system?
So we've done it once. So I don't think we have a system or expertise at all, but it went very well. He actually works for us now. He was in the college that's the largest in Utah, just down the street from us. So we should totally take advantage of it. Me and the two team of owners all went to school there. We should have great connections. Anyway, we're not doing a good job there. But so he reached out to us because he was in school. We hired him to clean up our database a whole bunch and then shadow a bunch of our agents to kind of write things down, take notes so we could perfect some of our onboarding systems. And he got his license and we transitioned him to a full-time agent. He says, I like doing this, but I'd rather be an admin. And we needed a new TC. And so he came in and now he's one of our TCs. So it went really well for us. We haven't done it since.
Why not? It seems like you had a good experience.
I don't know. We need to do it more often. I think part of the worry is like, it did take us a couple weeks to just get him up and rolling with everything, like any new hire would. We weren't ready really to onboard him and just pass things over with like a nice little binder. And so maybe working on some of those little systems to like, because there is the predictable turnover, but if you know it's coming and plan for it, it sounds like that's the way to go. Have them teach the new people and put as much in a binder system as you can. So then it's a no-brainer to just always do it. Oh, and we did not pay him either. He was very happy to work for us for free.
We did interns on my team too, and we didn't ever pay them ever. They were always free. And they always came from either a teacher or a professor. So local high school teacher would send them or a college professor. Some from the university I attended, which was too far away for them to come in person. So they were virtual. But I got them out of the honors college and they were phenomenal. Like these were the top talent in the school, you know, going on to big fancy jobs after they graduated, and they came in and did things like marketing or social media. like more technical skills that were, harder to hire, like Abby said, for their social media piece. So, there's just like no end to the places you could potentially source some of this talent. Obviously, when we were getting from the high school, they weren't doing some of that stuff. Those were the kids like stuffing the envelopes and running the signs and stuff, but it's all free labor.
So with our interns, one tip that if you're going to start is to advertise in like January and February, because they do look really super early when they're looking for jobs. And we do we just kind of ran it the whole time. We do it, they are not paid. We do a 6-week commitment because it's usually how long the summer break is for them. And then we do have them do small things, but we also like compile a list of like, for a while, like projects that we just don't get to or want to put on somebody else. And I actually pulled up one of our old lists. So it was like reformat the open house flyers in Canva, like video training, like make a library on video training in YouTube, research client event for Atlanta United. Just like a whole list of projects that were 20, 30, 40 an hour long jobs that we just have been sitting on that list for so long, and have them do those projects. There's so many of those projects. And then a lot of like the marketing stuff and like revamping marketing materials or things like that. So it's usually advertised as like a marketing intern kind of position.
Real quick, I have a question because we've never worked with interns. I'm super unfamiliar with the entire process. So are there certain things that you can or can't do when it comes to like an unpaid internship that we should be aware of? Like legally?
Probably a question per state that might give you a different answer. You might just check with your team leader around there might be some state laws you need to take into consideration.
Check with your insurance people, and your insurance is going to want everyone on payroll so that you're covered. It's a decision, but yeah, that's what they told us.
In California, if you do an unpaid intern, the reporting requirements are so extensive that it's really just not even worth it. Do you have to get it back to you have to keep a log of everything they're doing and how they're doing and all of this stuff. So that's never worth it here. I've used interns at a previous spot, but I just haven't done it here for a lot of the reasons. We're not set up for it, and we don't have an office. So looking over someone's shoulder at first, difficult at this point since everyone's remote.
So do you guys have any other questions around interns, whether you have them or not?
I don't have like questions per se, but I've added several things to my project list. Because there's definite opportunity there, and I see the value in it. And also, our culture is one where we come from contribution, and for us to be able to contribute to those young lives and have them at our table and then send them off to do great things in the world, I think there's a good give back benefit outside of the benefit that you get to the business. So it's a two-way street. And I like that concept a lot. And you can use them as, like you guys said, runners, marketing, social media. Like they're going to be really, that's in their wheelhouse anyways, for most of them at that age and space where they are in their life. So I got what I got out of the call already. I feel like.
I think the come from contribution is huge. Like I said, one of our interns took her state test last week and she didn't pass, but it was like one of my kids. Like, I mean, she called and we were talking through it, and like I was starting to make flashcards for her this weekend. And I mean, I am so invested in her, and nobody in our office knows. I don't think I've even told our rainmaker. I split the cost of her real estate class with her. Her family doesn't have a lot of money. She doesn't come from much. I know what she makes. And when she decided to sign up for it, she couldn't sign up at the time because she hadn't saved up enough. And so I Venmo'd her half of the cost because I wanted her to know that we believed in her and we were right there and we wanted to see her grow to that next level. And so I definitely think what you're saying, I mean, they give us just as much or more than we give them. And, it is so cool to kind of see them grow up and figure out what they want to do and be a part of, what could be a life change for her. And, her family's never owned a home. She wants to have a career and, be the first in her family to do that. And I mean, I'll get all emotional if I talk about it, but I mean, literally when she was taking her test, she took her course final in our office. I stalked the door where she was being proctored like every 5 minutes. I mean, I was just pacing outside of it. And when she passed, I think our whole office heard me scream because I was so excited for her. But so I definitely think there's a lot to get from that aspect. And you do get really invested and you want to see them do well.
I felt very much the same way you did, Abby. The interns we got were from a local college and they were all in marketing majors. These kids that came in, they're headed somewhere in life. They're great additions to the team, even when they're only there for a short time. Everybody gets attached to them. They fit in really well, partly because they're being of service to everybody. We had a great experience with every single one of them.
I think it goes hand in hand with the theme we've been working through and discussing too, right? Like, who in your world do you need? What does talent look like? What is the constant conversations with talent that we're having? And even though this is an intern capacity, right, that we're talking about, and yet if you hear, we've met some talent that's either developed in Cameron's case, a member of the team, Abby's case, real estate, right? Joining Keller Williams and that family to sell. So it's all right in hand with, you never know when you're going to need a who in your world, depending on where we're at and what business we're in. And it's just another avenue to where to find those people, another pool in the source. And so it's definitely a good aspect to add in there when you think about those constant conversations.
Do we want to talk any deeper about how to find them? I know we talked about like the honors program, high school, colleges. Do we want to go any deeper than that?
I don't know if it's connected, but in my mind, it's a similar work function. But the unlicensed entry-level admin, we've done a couple of those with good success, but similar recruitment strategies, right? Because we don't want entry-level workers, so we go after the people who are motivated, going through college. Also talking to your office leadership, because they get people who are going through school or saving up to go through school. You get real estate minded people that way as well. people are they're trying to recruit anyway. You can bring them into your team. And Abby Lee, I hope you're bringing that girl into your downline. I hope you're her sponsor.
It reminds me of because it's been on my mind, career visioning, and some of the things that are done talent wise. We should always be lead genning talent, and I like this conversation piece because are you analyzing your sources? Are you using this source? Because like you guys said, some of these people may be real estate minded, or they might have so much to contribute to the team or the world. Like, that's really impactful. I love that.
David, you brought up a piece that I was just trying to think through, is that whole career visioning process. Like, I just found on the school close to us that you can post the internships online. What would your career visioning look like? Are you taking them through the whole process? Is it kind of take the KPA, do I like you, cheat the process, or what would that look like for some of you guys?
I know that for us, that's like non-negotiable to deviate from the process. Like that is a no for us, because we've done that before in the past, or my rainmaker did that before in the past before I joined the team. And so I just have an awareness around it that it works if you work it. So even though you're not paying in, and even if someone takes a KPA and maybe it's not a match, our mentality around it is they have earned the right to at least have the validation, right? They've earned that right. They sat down we've all taken it, right? You sit down and you're in a room and you're sweating in front of a keyboard and you have the door closed, so they've earned at least the right. And they would probably learn something, because I always ask them as we get through the process, especially on the validation, have you ever been through a process like this? And they ask for feedback from it. Always the answer is no. And always they say, I wish everyone did this. So, especially for an intern, what can they take forward with that? Yeah, it takes some of our time, but once again, coming from contribution, I think that there's still something to be said about that.
I like that point of view. And then if you're going to hire them, you've already done the KPA, the whole process. You just say, yep, you've proven yourself for the last 3-6 months, whatever, let's go. Rather than how we did it, we were like, oh, there's no skin off our back kind of an idea. Like, let's bring him in. He seems like a talented. We did an interview and had him take the KPA, but then we didn't do any check, any validation, anything, make sure he was a good hire. And then after, when we're like, do we hire him? We almost had to redo the whole process, and it was kind of awkward for everyone, really.
Yeah, and I feel like that it would be really difficult to truly gauge the cultural fit piece for the intern without having that whole 30 interview process, team interview process, because their input is important to me, because sometimes they may have a thought process or something that's not on my radar, or pick up something that I am not picking up on. And so the team interview is really, really important. And I think that if we're going to invite someone into our world, that if you had an interview or an intern that was great talent, however, was not culturally aligned with you, I feel like that you could put yourself in a position to where you could hurt yourself more than help them.
We haven't done a full with the team interview. We always have the intern come to a team meeting before they join our team, and we try to make it more of a looser team. You know, we may throw some get to know you things in there. We may change up our normal team meeting so that it's kind of a little bit of a hybrid interview. It's not a full on team interview with the intern, but we do that so that, because we've had a couple pick up on some things like, you know, and we pretend like we're just kind of showing them where storage is and like what it is to put out a sign and kind of sitting them on a ride along with an intern before they're brought on. But really that's an interview. They just don't know it's an interview. Because earlier in the summer, we had someone that our director of sales met. She loved her. She thought she was very driven. She would be a good fit. I met with her. I was kind of like on the fence. I had her do a ride along with our best intern that left for a real job earlier this summer. And she was like, no, she said, just trust me. And we do, because she'd been amazing for us. She's like, trust me, this is not, she thinks she knows everything. I couldn't tell her anything, you know, and she was right. We brought her back in one more time. I interviewed her, and I went the definite picked my side of the fence, and we didn't have her join the team. But we've kind of, like, we don't go through a full process, but we do have a couple of steps in there that are sort of red lights and, you know, stop signs to go, okay, is everybody good with this person moving forward? And we do have them meet the team. They just don't realize it's an interview. It's more of, hey, come join our team, sit in on our team meeting, you know, and then we talk after they leave.
Uncomfortable. So do we want to discuss anything more around this topic? So last week we were debating whether to do interns and VAs in one call, and we thought they were two calls. So we're tabling VAs for another call, right, Zach? Because you have somebody you want to come on and share.
Yes, yeah, we have Rachel Ocello. I have the privilege of coaching with her and her team. So she's going to come on and just have a conversation around what her virtual team looks like. She's the only in-house. She has a team of 4 virtual assistants, and I have the privilege of coaching her lead virtual assistant VA. And they hire through a place called, I think it's like Upwork, something along those lines. So she does her own hiring and everything. So I thought it'd be cool, since we've talked about that before, have her on, discuss how she manages that, what the communication looks like. And it's awesome. Like, it's just really cool to hear about it as they're a member of the team, what their growth plan looks like. You'll be able to hear from Seiza what her coaching and growth looks like. So I think it'll be a really good conversation we'll have soon. I don't know when we're having that. Did we figure out when we are having that?
Could we do that for next week? Because we have next week, then we have Mega Camp, and then we have book club. I don't know that we have a topic for next week yet.
I will certainly check. I will know. My call with her and Seiza is right after this, so I will figure it out.
Next week, what would you guys like to talk about instead?
Have we done anything with the group regarding like vacation management, or what that looks like. Everybody's laughing. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
We just don't take vacations, and hopefully no one on our team takes vacations, and then everything falls apart.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's actually a great topic from all different perspectives. Like, what is the expectation of vacation as they onboard? Like, what do people's agreements look like? All the way up to who's covering while you're on vacation. Yeah.
That's really good. That'll give us 3 good topics between the book, Who Moved My Cheese, and then we'll go, or Who Moved the Cheese. Then we'll go through either next week, we'll either do vacation management or virtual assistant, or we'll switch it.
And I wonder with vacation management, I mean, that goes lots of directions, but there is just the idea of agents helping agents, you know, doing showings for other agents. And do they do it out of their goodwill? Do they do it because they're compensated? You know, does your admin team do that? You know, kind of all that goes around the structure of that. We got to kind of expand that conversation a little bit.
Bring those 3 good questions to that conversation. The good ones.
I think we're about to give you some time back in your day. So number 1, next week we do have a call. Week after that, family reunion. In case for some reason you've not heard, family reunion is no longer in person. So if you had those tickets, those are now virtual tickets. Then after that, we're going to do our book club book, hour and 39 minutes on Audible, y'all. And I triple checked. It's not the Cliff Notes version. That's the actual book. So short. It's like the world's shortest business book. So I mean, can you imagine? Like, put it on a speed and a half, and it's shorter than like a podcast. So no reason.
Remind me what book? Remind me what book?
Who Moved the Cheese?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yes. And then after, and so when we come back from family reunion, we're going to do our book club, and that is also the week we are moving days. So don't forget to put it in your calendar that the day is moving to Wednesdays. Same time, different day.
And Megan keeps doing what I've been doing all week. It's mega camp, not family reunion.
Dang it. What time of year is it? What season am I in? Yeah, mega camp. Hopefully family reunion is still going to happen as per planned. Mega camp.
And then something to think about, just because I felt like nerding out. I thought maybe it would be fun here in the next upcoming calls that maybe we do an MREA contest, little quiz questions that we'll have listed with the fastest answer, but maybe more to come with that. Maybe we'll have prizes I'm working through. We'll see, but I think we may do a Let's Chat game night just to keep everyone on your toes, and a little wink, wink, get caught up on your MREA.
I heard Zach say there's prizes. Like, I stopped listening after that. Prizes, y'all. There's gonna be prizes. So that. Okay, guys. 11 minutes back in your day. So go get some tea or go to the bathroom, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.